Hey, this is going to be a really fun conversation for business owners and entrepreneurs and really just pioneering leaders who care about the next phase now. How do you actually stay focused on your operations while you're scaling? You're thinking about expansion. You want to make sure that you're ready for the opportunities, and you feel like it's a tug of war. You don't know how to get it all done. In this video, I'm going to share some strategies to just make it simpler, and you'll really appreciate it. Stay till the end, okay? Okay, well, if we haven't met yet, my name is Peter Burchfield, and I'm a pioneer at heart. I'm a believer, husband, girl dad, second generation pastor, and executive coach. My passion is summed up in a verse in the Bible, Luke 10:2. And Jesus said, pray to the Lord of the harvest that he would send out laborers, or in the Peter paraphrase, leaders, who will go out into these new fields. And I realized that these new fields come from a agricultural context, but the fields that we get to go into are not just farming, but it's all of these different contexts in life. And it's where we need to be showing up as leaders in these new fields where the future is emerging. So it could be a field of education, a field of medicine, a field of sports, media, business, government. I mean, there's so many fields out there. And, I know that there's a lot of talk about how to ascend mountains and have influence over masses. And really, when you think about the mountain metaphor, we're talking about large hierarchies of people. But I like to think of it more in a horizontal way, not in a vertical way. And I like to think of it in, I think this is the conversation that we need to be having, because the mountain metaphor is very good, but it's very abstract, and it's the macro. It's like the most macro thing, because we're talking about nations and cultures and kind of the long game in some ways. But when we're talking about what do I do today, where do I go? Well, you got to go to work, and you work in your God-given field. So a lot of people, they have a job, but it's not enjoyable to them because they haven't connected it with their field. And when you find your field, you're going to find the favor you need. The insights that you've been having your whole life are now going to get unlocked because you're in your field. You're going to be perceived as an expert there, when in other places you're not. You're also going to find other people that are going to leverage those relationships into partnerships, and then your dreams are going to be fulfilled. And that's what's possible when you get in your field. Now, if you're working in somebody else's field, then you might be getting a paycheck, but you're not getting a lot of fulfillment, and you're definitely not stepping into any kind of influence or impact. But when you find your field, when you actually show up to go to work in your field, then you can show up on a leadership level. People will receive what you're carrying because you've put in the work to prepare to go there, right? There's the name of the podcast. So I talk a lot about this. It's the idea of leadership preparedness. Are we really preparing leaders to go out into the new fields where the future is happening? And if we don't, then we're going to have leader shortages. We're going to have leader crisis, and we're going to, easily scratch our heads and say, what happened? And you should have, and why didn't you? And, it's going to be a mess. But really all we needed to do was be diligent where we are. Like, can you just, for lack of a better phrase, can you just be faithful where God has put you? And can you enjoy your work week? Can you enjoy your family, your coworkers, and your neighbors? Can you just make every day meaningful? And it's not because the work you do is necessarily special. It's because the motive of your heart is to have this excellent spirit before the Lord. And so you're seeing some of my faith journey come out in this conversation right now, but I think it's so relevant to where people are, because there's been a massive shift in the leadership landscape. And we're looking for the next generation of leaders. We're looking for a new iteration of leadership. And so my encouragement is that the primary emphasis in the leadership community today is going to be pioneering leadership. We need more leaders who can pioneer the uncharted, because that's where we are. We're going to have to deal with complexity at a speed that we have never experienced in our lives. And we're also going to have to navigate and create that terrain while we go. And so for leaders that are stepping into executive roles in their businesses, their nonprofits, maybe even some sort of government work, it's going to put the pressure on you. And the demands are going to be higher and hotter than you've experienced before. And you're going to have to draw from a deep well. You're going to have to say, man, do I have the goods to stay in this field or not? And there's two things that kind of come to mind when I consider this. The first one is that everything you've gone through has been preparing you to be a leader in the field that you need to show up in. And so, preparedness is everything. Making sure that your heart is prepared, that your skill set is prepared, that your networking is prepared. All that has to come together at the right time. And if we don't pay attention to what's getting our attention, we might miss out on that opportunity to show up in the field that is emerging for the sake of others. So that's the first thing, is just this idea of preparation. Preparation leads to acceleration. Abe Lincoln, classically said, if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd use 6 hours to sharpen my axe. It's that kind of thing. We're always scratching our head saying, man, where's the weight? What's going on? And you feel like you're behind, you feel like you're off track, you feel like you're in the woods somewhere, but you've just been going through the wilderness workshop. And what I want to encourage pioneering leaders with is that you might be downloading a deep sense of readiness to get deployed into this new field of leadership. And when you access that new field, you actually show up on a leadership level. There's a scripture that says that a man's gift, a person's gift, makes room for them and brings them before great people. And so my encouragement is, it's not about the duration of time that you've been here and not there, but it's actually about your willingness and your seriousness to stay future focused, so that way you're downloading that deep sense of readiness. The moment that you get access to come into this new field, you're going to show up on a leadership level and you're going to get to work. The second thing that I'm thinking of for leaders in business and ministry as well is, when you are pioneering a new field, you know it because it looks rough. We think, oh man, this is my promotion. I just made it to a C-level suite, and I'm going to be an executive of this company, and this has a great track record, and this organization is very reputable and they've been around. That might be the case, but honestly, most pioneering leaders are going to be activated into this new field when things are very tough, pressurized, looks dark. Maybe there's been a leader shortage. Maybe there's been some leader crisis. Maybe there's been a vacuum of leadership. People are scared, they're unprepared, they don't know what to do. Everybody's kind of looking for the exit door. This is normal pioneering leadership. It's when things are tough that the strong leaders emerge. And so when you get into your field, the way you'll recognize it is it's got a lot of undergrowth and brush, and it looks hairy, scary at first. And there's actually a way to transform that field into a Garden of Eden, to actually see the gold, to actually see the purpose of you being in that time, in that position, and getting to work personally, relationally, organizationally. I came across a stat that was staggering. A friend of mine said that while he's going through his business MBA and coaching, he heard that 70% 95% of the culture change initiatives that go on in all of these big organizations fail. Now think of this. This is wild. Up to 70% of all of the change initiatives, the culture change initiatives that are happening, they are failures. They're not. Think about how much money gets invested into these projects. Think about the conferences, the communications, the campaigning, all of the effort that gets put into it, all of the experts that are brought together into the think tanks and the coalitions to roll out these really big, cultural change moments, and they fail. And I personally believe that they're approaching it the wrong way. And when you come in like a pioneering leader, you're going to have a different mindset and you're going to get different results. And so if you're in an organization, maybe you're looking at succession planning, maybe you're thinking about expansion in a really high growth scenario, maybe you're trying to ready future leaders while you're taking care of operations right now. Maybe you feel out of sorts and you used to have a lot of momentum, but it just feels like the landscape is different and the terrain is not the same, and you're just trying to find your way again, in terms of alignment, in terms of execution and speed. That's all real stuff that leaders face. But if you're in that situation, you're looking for the pioneering leaders, because pioneering leaders know how to navigate and create the future. And that's what you need in your organization. And so there's been an iteration of leaders that were more focused on kind of the influencer model. And that's great and good. But I really think this next iteration of leaders are not going to lead out front. They're going to be way out in the future. They're going to be way out in the field, and they're going to be way out in the front lines. And that's why you need them, because you want pioneers who literally go before the troops, so to speak, and they are surveying the landscape. They're figuring out all the complexities. They're thinking deeply about the real root issues, and then they're creating the routes that bring forward change and momentum back into the organizational culture. And one thing that you'll get from pioneering leaders, they are very rugged and individualistic in terms of their intrinsic drive. They are very results based, but uniquely enough, they are very relational. And so they are willing to collaborate in ways that other iterations of leaders were not. And I'm seeing that more and more, man. Just the whole kind of friend culture and the collaboration that goes on with these pioneering leaders, because they work outside of the systems. They work outside of the org charts. And that actually gives them a lot of leverage, because they're investing their relational capital, and it's creating such disruptive collaboration, and they're getting results that other people couldn't get because they're approaching it a different way. And so this is a kind of a macro conversation, but my encouragement for business owners and for executive leaders is you got to tap into this conversation. You got to lean in and say, okay, what do I need to unlearn to be a better prepared leader for the next phase now? And instead of having this addiction to addition, where we're just assimilating more and more information, we're going to have to be willing to just simply venture out into the new fields, and to go into these new fields where the future is happening, and to be diligent on the front lines where we feel overlooked, where we feel misunderstood, where we feel like we've missed it, or that the train is passed and we're just like, man, I feel like the only person I'm leading is myself. Is that possible? And yeah, it's good, because when you're preparing in one season, it makes you a prototype for the new season. And that's what I want for you. So, okay, that's it for now. Let me invite you to my 5-day challenge. It's coming up very soon. and it's going to be for leaders in business and ministry. It's all about choosing the uncharted way, making uncharted progress in every direction of your life this year. And that means you're going to grow your capacity. You're going to see the things you've been hoping for over the last 5 or 10 years happen this year. And it's because your capacity has been expanded and you're taking more territory, more responsibility for how you show up. And it's been really transformative for me, for my friends, for my clients, and I want to share that transformation with you. So go check out the details and join before spaces are up. All right. Remember, the future has so many fields waiting on you, so prepare to go there.